So today's January 30th, 2026, and I actually went and saw, because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of people saying they saw this when they actually didn't. Went and saw Melania 20 Days to History. And I even got the limited edition popcorn bucket, which is recyclable, made green, and made in the USA, which I wouldn't expect that coming from the Trump family. So what I think of this film. So the public perception of Melania Trump has been that she's shallow, superficial, very vapid, just cold, uncaring, and just Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's pretty much the perception of Melania Trump. After Trump was first elected, traditionally the First Lady gets the cover of Vogue. Well, Melania didn't get the cover of Vogue nor any other fashion magazine, although she apparently was on Vogue back in 2005, back before that anybody really cared about her. So she's never gotten the recognition of past First Ladies. I think of First Ladies, I think of ones that come to mind immediately. Eleanor Roosevelt, who was just a fascinating woman. Mamie Eisenhower. In fact, you go to any home built in the 50s, chances are there's either going to be pink tile in the kitchen or pink tile in the bathroom, because Mamie Eisenhower did that at the White House, and it was a sign of patriotism to have pink in either one of the rooms or both. In fact, my old studio apartment had pink tile all over the freaking bathroom, which shows how old it was. Of course, Jackie Kennedy. Jackie Kennedy is probably the icon of a First Lady. Michelle Obama, who was just complete badass. I mean, you saw Michelle Obama out there constantly over 8 years, backing up whatever she said, going out, getting stuff done. Melania, you've heard her talk, say, be best. You see her occasionally, shoveling a shovel of dirt, talking to some kids, occasionally smiling, but you don't see much action from her. They never really, nobody tried to humanize either her or the Trump family during the first election. Anytime a new president is coming in, you'll usually see either a magazine piece where, they'll take photos of the family at home. Hey, here's what we do. Yeah, we shop at Walmart and all that kind of crap. Or something like 60 Minutes, when they had credibility, would do a news segment on the family, a little behind the scenes thing, and just make these people come across as real people. That never happened with Donald and Melania. So now, when we're on Trump version 2, we get this film. So this promises a behind-the-scenes look at the intimate life of Melania Trump. We're promised we're going to see things that you've never seen before. We're going to get answers to questions, and it's just going to be this intimate view of her life. And that is not what we get at all. Not even close. So this thing opens with her at Mar-a-Lago. It's like, like they say, this is 20 days before inauguration. She walks out of Mar-a-Lago to Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter, which was apparently not used with permission, so somebody owes the Rolling Stones a shitload of money, and she travels to New York City. This is going on, and I got to give it to Brett Ratner on this. It's probably about the only thing I'll give it to him on. Great shots. He's got some great drone shots of the Secret Service caravan going down the streets. The shots look great. It looks like a freaking Dior perfume commercial. Melania's walking. She's wearing the leather stiletto boots. Almost looks dominatrix-like. She's got her sunglasses on despite the fact she doesn't need them. Looks badass. You get this, and she's got the whole Secret Service protecting her. It almost looks like like someone, like some high-powered executive going to a board meeting, or some leader of a nation that's going in to just completely cut the balls off another nation. You know, she's got a sense of purpose. She's got a sense of determination on her face. Well, it's the same look she always has. You know, and she gets up in the Trump Tower, and she's there for a clothes fitting. So we get all this drama, her going from Florida to New York to try on freaking clothes. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. She does a lot of voiceover narration. And the voiceover narration, most of it is just completely ridiculous. She'll tell you exactly what she's about to do. I am going to pick up a pen off my desk, and then pick up a pen. One scene in this, this is mind-blowing. Brett Ratner absolutely dropped the ball on this one. She's talking about how her mother had passed away. And her mother had passed away, the date her mom had passed away was January 9th. And she's talking about missing her deceased mother, which I get it. And then she talks about how in 2025 it's kind of inconvenient that Jimmy Carter's funeral was on the same day as the anniversary of her mother's death. And we see this funeral. Melania and Donald walk into this funeral, and she's talking about her mom, how much she misses her mom, how her mom's death has impacted her, by saying her death impacted me, not getting deep on it. Like I said, is Melania. Everything is superficial. And we see them walking in, and you look in the back, in the pews, you see Justin Trudeau, you see a couple other world leaders. I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, wow, man. World leaders came from Melania's mom's funeral. And then the camera pans around. We see the United States flag draped over a casket. I'm like, a state funeral for the mother of the First Lady? I mean, I'd never heard of it. And it's true, because that wasn't her mom's funeral. Melania is talking about her deceased mother over scenes of Jimmy Carter's funeral. Yes, she's talking about one dead person, showing the funeral of another. It was freaking bizarre. And you know, the funny thing is, I knew about that scene. I knew it was in the film, but I'm watching the film and it just didn't hit me that this was it. It was just freaking bizarre. Why Brett Ratner as a director would go that route, beyond me. Maybe show photos of Melania and her mom, and she's talking about how much she misses her, not over the funeral of Jimmy freaking Carter. That was just mind-blowing. Another ridiculous thing Ratner did, when Melania goes to St. Patrick's Cathedral. She goes, I'm going to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral and light a candle for my mother. Then as soon as she's finished saying that, she's walking into St. Patrick's Cathedral and lighting a candle for her mother. So they've got to play music. So they play a live gospel version of Amazing Grace. And as Melania's lighting this candle, you hear people clapping. Now, it could have come from the theater I was in, because there were only 8 people in the theater on opening day, and I saw it at 3:30 in the afternoon. There were only 8 people in the theater. So I'm hearing this little bit of clapping, then I realize that the clapping that's going on when she's lighting a candle for her dead mother after talking about her dead mother is on the recording. It sounds like they're applauding for Melania's deceased mother. Really bizarre. But the track did end up working. They play it while she's in the church. She's walking out, and someone says, oh, we'll have mass for your mom. Oh, gee, how sweet. And that kind of crap. And walk outside. Of course, there's barricades, because it's Melania. You got to have barricades. Don't want to let anyone too close to her. You don't know what you catch. And you see this crowd, and then you hear some, joyous mumbling, some pleasant, some happy, talking, almost shouting. Again, it's the recording, it's not the crowd watching her, but it blends. You think for a second that it is the crowd, so you realize it's the music. So the music played a good role there because it made you think people were actually happy that streets of New York were blocked so Melania can light a fucking candle. Probably the biggest cringe moment of this film. She talks to a surviving hostage from an Israeli woman who was captured by Hamas, her and her husband. This woman was held for 50 days captive, and the woman was set free as part of a ceasefire or part of a medical agreement or something, but her husband was still captive. And she was talking to Melania about, how awful the experience was, and it was horrendous. And Melania shows no hint of compassion, sympathy, empathy, emotion, anything. She's just got that stoic look on her face as she's listening to this woman, like going through one ear, out the other. She goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry," says something stupid, gives a woman a hug, but you don't get the sense that Melania actually gives a shit about this woman's plight and what this woman's been through. She just goes, "Oh, well, my husband is president, he'll do something about this." And it just void of any kind of human emotion. And about the only time she did show any kind of a human side, one of the inauguration parties, she walks behind a curtain, YMCA's playing, and she's dancing the YMCA. It's the most human she looks, and I think that lasts about maybe 10 seconds. Her narration, again, a lot of it saying what she's about to do right before she does it, kind of like closed captioning for people that, deaf people. It's like, that's what it was like, where it explains what's going on in the scene for people that have maybe got vision problems or something. I think it's an option on some Amazon movies. But she talks a lot about how hard her duties are, how hard her life is, how much she has to do. And as she talks about that, we see other people doing all these things that she is saying are hard for her to do. We see party planners making decisions for her, telling her what they've chosen. We see designers doing her dresses. She's just got to stand there and wear a freaking dress. We see her hiring assistants that do stuff for her. But she talks about being a wife, a mom, and having all this responsibility. But we don't see her actually hands-on dealing with any of this stuff in a way like we used to see Michelle Obama out there kicking some ass. Overall, it tries really, really hard to make Melania relatable, and it fails every step of the way. Just even when she's walking into her first fitting, walking into the Trump, penthouse palace, whatever the fuck it is. It looks gaudy in all the photographs. You see people in it. It's like, wow. I'm waiting for Jack Burton and Lil Pan to start fighting. There is absolutely nothing relatable about her. There is really not, I don't want to say not likable, but there's just nothing there. It's like she's flesh, bone, and blood, but just personality-wise, she's just void of everything. She comes across as very robotic, very stiff, just a complete freaking void. They show her going to Arlington National Cemetery, and she's says the name of 3 soldiers that had died in Afghanistan, and she goes, "I will always remember and always think of," names them, in their dedication to this country. I think about them every day. But you're convinced that as soon as she read that line that was written for her, that she forgot their fucking names. You could ask her their names now, she ain't gonna remember. It tries to make her human. It fails. You're not learning anything in this film. There's no build-up. You know, they say 20 days before the inauguration. So you're at point A, you got point B, the final destination. There's a lot of work going into inauguration. I think of the Jennifer Lopez documentary about her Super Bowl halftime show. You're seeing the rehearsals, you know, you're seeing the dancers, you're seeing the network say, oh, we got to cut time. You're seeing Jennifer Lopez say she needs time trying to get all this navigated. Damn near all by herself, and then you see the end result, the end payoff. You don't get that with this. You don't get it. You know, she talks a lot about working on her Be Best. Be Best is back. She talks to a couple world leaders, Macron's wife in France, the Prime Minister, whatever's wife in Jordan. Oh, yes, I want Be Best is going to continue. Are you on board? You know, she talks about all this work she's going to do with Be Best. Has she done any of that work? This is a year ago. Has she done any of that work? No. I mean, she talks about how hard the work is, and we have seen nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in this film, let's talk about, wow, tone-deaf moment. Great editing choice, great directing, Brett Ratner. Melania gives this, once again, written monologue about how she wants to change what the role of the First Lady means. She wants to be more active. She wants to do more than just plan parties and events. So essentially, she wants to be more like Michelle Obama. But anyway, she's talking about how she wants to elevate the role of First Lady, and they show the portrait of Eleanor Roosevelt, the portrait of Mimi Eisenhower, the portrait of Jackie Kennedy, and she talks about all the hard work ahead of her. Cut to Melania posing for fucking photos. Not just any photos. This is the official White House photo where she's wearing that stupid suit where you look at it, you're thinking, who wore it better, Melania Trump or Annie Lennox in the Sweet Dreams video? Yeah, so she talks about doing hard work and then, wow, modeling. You know, it's... I'm always curious about car wrecks, train wrecks, accidents of films. I also want to know what I'm absolutely going to pan. I had zero expectations of this being a good documentary. It just seemed to me destined to fail, but I wanted to see why it was going to fail. And interestingly enough, at the end of the film, they list all these accomplishments that she's done in the past year. Well, that was the film to make. What she has done. Show her doing something. Not picking out tablecloths, not picking out clothes. This will not make her relatable. This will not inspire anybody. And we learned zero about Melania Trump that we didn't already know. So my verdict is probably one of the worst documentaries of all time. Save your money. Do not go to the theaters. I would even say people are going to watch it when it's on Prime, but it's not going to be a repeat watch. Maybe there'll be some riff tracks for this, we'll see. But until then, right now, opening night, it's snowing outside. Stay home, stay safe, and stay the fuck away from this movie.